What's going on, guys? Welcome back to JT's Mixtape, episode number 31. And if you guys are enjoying these podcasts, please give me a 5-star review on either Apple or Spotify. And if you're watching on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button. Thank you.
Come closer, my child.
I have got a podcast sponsor. I was happy to partner with Modern Roots Life, and this is really cool because it's a Christian company. Modern Roots Life, they provide natural health supplements, natural salts, beef liver, magnesium, copper, lots of things. Natural, third-party tested supplements. And I think for me, I often complain about being very tired and having a bit of brain fog trying to do everything that we're trying to do. So I just started my regime. And so I'm excited to see how it works out because I think like you guys in this community that we don't really want to go to the doctor anymore. And I'm not saying you'll never have to, but I'm saying that if I can be more healthy, then I'm doing my best to try to do that now. Physically and spiritually and mentally. So if you guys want to check out Modern Roots Life, check out the link in my description. People often ask how they can support me. Well, I think it's really cool if you can support me by supporting people that support me. And you get something in return. And obviously being healthy is a pretty good return. What's going on, Brian?
Nothing much, man. I'm excited to be here today and back for another JT's Mixtape. Let's make it happen.
Yeah, it's funny because I actually, again, I tell people that we record these earlier in the week and then we don't really release them until the next week. And so the last episode was about the devil, was the devil man. And I feel like a complete idiot. We talked for so long about the devil and we didn't talk about some of the biggest iterations of it in the culture. And we'll do that in just a second. But I made the thumbnail. And of course, when I'm making the thumbnail, I'm like thinking like, oh, I should have used the Lucifer show. We should have talked about the Lucifer show. I mean, like there's literally like Lucifer Morning Star is a TV show. And so that he's obviously a man in that. And then I thought, oh gosh, The Devil's Advocate with Al Pacino and Keanu. How did we not talk about that?
I don't know, but I know that the story of the Lucifer TV show, they made him look like the good guy, right? Like, and it's like, dude, I'm gonna tell you a crazy thing that happened today or the other day because I work at a sticker shop that I run, and this dude calls in and goes, "Hey, I want to get a sticker for my car," and I was like, "Okay," and he was like, "I want it to say, I want it to be like a picture of Baphomet, and I wanted to say, 'Hail Lucifer.'" And I was like, "Why do you want that?" I'm literally like, "Why do you want that?" And he's just like, "Because I'm Lucifer's." And I'm like, "What?" He's like, "I belong to Lucifer." And I was like, "Bro, I'm not printing that for you, dude." It's just like, he's like, "What?" And I'm like, "No, I'm not going to print that for you because I don't think that's a good thing, dude. I don't think you understand what it means to be Lucifer's, bro. I don't think you understand at all what it means to be a part of the Church of Satan." And he was just like, and we had this total intellectual conversation argument about him belonging to Lucifer. And by the end of it, he was kind of like, I was like, "Bro, I'm going to tell you from personal experience and a lot of people that I've helped escape from the Church of Satan, they're involved in human sacrifice." I'm like, "You want to kill someone you love? You want to kill your mom?" I was like, "You want to kill your mom? You want to kill one of your, if you have children, you want to kill a child?" I'm like, "Because that's what it costs to be a Luciferian." And I was like, "And if you think that is anything other than that, you're lying to yourself." Like, it was such a weird conversation. This literally was just like, I don't know, like 2 days ago or something. Such an unusual conversation.
Well, it's kind of like, do you want to bet on the losing side? I can tell you who's already going to win this. Do you want to be on the side of the loser or the winner? I think that's interesting. Of course, this will tie in nicely with this clip about how some people believe that it's better to rule in hell than be a slave in heaven.
Yep, that's
But obviously, I don't think that they really realize what that place is like.
Yeah,
I don't think they have any idea. I mean, obviously, if you really only knew, I mean, if that's part of like what you'll be willing to accept if you really do want to know the truth. I feel like, man, the more and more I have learned, the more I realize that we still all have our own personal blind spots. And then when you can kind of see, you're like, wow, like it's like amazing that what you could not see. And then sometimes we do make the mistake of thinking everyone sees the world through our eyes now. But then you really do see, and you're like, how can you not see that this is as plain as day? Like literally, we're talking about last week, we're talking about little season stuff, and we're talking about the revelations that God has revealed to us through the scriptures. They were never hidden. I mean, I guess they were to a certain extent. Like there was a veil, but I mean, like, these are Holy Spirit filled Christians who still can't hardly read exactly what it says because they've still got this blind spot. But then obviously you take it to the times a trillion. This person literally thinks that, oh, it's better to be myself with the devil than to be with God. When it's like literally God is offering you freedom and the devil's framing it as slavery. And then the devil's offering freedom, but it actually is slavery. It's like death and slavery. Like God's offering you life, peace, and freedom, and the devil's offering you that. But that's not what but that's obviously it's a lie.
Yeah. And what's crazy is like so many people in the culture today, like this kid was so brainwashed talking to me. He was literally like, no, Satan is actually, Lucifer's the good guy. He was like, Satan is not Lucifer. And I was like, yes, he is. He was like trying to argue with me that like Lucifer, he's like, it means the light bringer because he brings the light because he's the good guy. And he was like trying to give me the narrative that he learned from these television shows and the media and all this nonsense that he started like, making up this narrative that like Lucifer was bringing knowledge and God is the bad guy who was like stopping us from getting that knowledge. And like dude, it's literally the Luciferian doctrine like is so prevalent now in the media that like ignorant people that don't know anything are buying into it and believing that they should belong with the team of Lucifer and wanting them to get stickers on their car that says I belong to Lucifer. I just like, bro, I'm like of all the places, I was like, Jesus loves you. I started talking to him, bro. I started witnessing to the guy, and at the end he was just kind of like he kind of like had like an epiphany kind of moment. I was like, bro, of all the sticker places you happen to call, and I ended up being the one that you answer, bro. How many people would have this answers for you? Because he had some deep intellectual answers or questions that he was asking, and I was able to give him the answers to it that he's like never been able to get from anybody. I was like, of all the places you call this, and like I help you with it. I'm like, dude, obviously the Lord loves you. And I was like, and God loves you more than Satan's ever gonna love you, bro. Because of all the places you called me. I'm like, that's ridiculous. Like,
yeah,
I was like,
right. Yeah, exactly. You called the wrong sticker shop.
Yeah, it was like it was so the Lord. It was so awesome though. It was pretty great. So yeah, the deception though in the media is literally that Satan's a good guy, and they're pumping this knowledge of bullcrap through everybody's heads. They're getting filled with this narrative of disillusion that Satan is somehow good. No, Satan is bad. Satan is human sacrifice. If you want to be on Satan's team, he requires you kill someone you love. That's what it is. He requires sacrifice for him to be on his team. Dude, it's terrible. It's evil. Yeah. It's so wicked.
Yeah, well, so the interesting part is again that like so if you're not just straight from the Bible, I guess it's interesting too. Like the Bible, the details about the devil are actually pretty slim in the Bible, but we do know that he's a liar, he's a murderer. He came nothing but to rob and destroy, and he's awful. But what we also know about him, he's the accuser. So it's interesting the way he's presented in the culture is he's the ultimate rebel. He is a rebel, right? You give him that. So he's the ultimate rebel. But in the movies, in the TV, in the comic books, the rebels are obviously depicted as being cool. Even think about Star Wars. Who are the good guys? The rebels. Obviously, we talk about, again, like the early roots of America. Is this possibly when the little season started, 1776? You have the Gadsden flag with, what's the symbol on the flag? It's a coiled up snake. Don't tread on me. Which is interesting. In Luke 11, Jesus actually gives the apostles the authority to tread on serpents and scorpions. And that's literally like a satanic message in that flag. Again, like it's kind of weird that I don't want a symbol of a snake to represent me.
Yeah, don't tread on me. That's
weird. But so the funny part about it is, so that showed Lucifer, they're going to depict this guy who's got the stubble. He's got like the slick hair. He's wearing like the nice suit. He's kind of like I don't care attitude, and he's real suave. Well, that is actually not who the devil is. The devil is like the tattletale in your class. He's a narc. He's like literally trying to get you to sin. He's going to try to get you to do the wrong thing. He's like the undercover cop that goes in there and tries to sell you some drugs or whatever. And then as soon as he convinces you to buy them, then they kick down the door and they arrest you. That's who he is. He's a tattletale. He's the opposite of cool. And who's cool is Jesus Christ, because he is the one who's advocating for us as after this guy, the tattletale, is trying to accuse us. He's the one who's our advocate in heaven with the Father. And he's way more powerful.
Such a funny way to put it.
I mean, it is. It's funny. It's funny. One of my early TikToks, I was talking about that. I was like,
nobody likes narcs.
Yeah, right. No, that's what he is. He's the accuser. So like literally he's the guy who's trying to get you, he's tempting you only to be able to tell on you afterwards. That's literally what he did. So why did they cheer when he got thrown down? He's the accuser of the brethren. Nobody likes a narc. Nobody likes a narc. But I mean, obviously, that's why everything is inverted in the movies. And then, who else we like? We like humility. We like the people who are really good at things, who don't have to tell you that they're good at them. Right? Because you see like the people who can just, everybody else tells them they're great. They don't have to do it. That's who Jesus is. The devil is the opposite, right? He's the one who's trying. He needs all the accolades. He needs the one to tell everybody how good he is, because pride is actually not really a great quality, because it's like the difference between confidence and arrogance, right? The arrogant person is usually actually pretty insecure, because that's why they have to talk about themselves all the time. Mm-hmm. The confident person says, believe whatever you want. I'm just going to go out there and do it, right? Mm-hmm. Jesus said there would be haters, right?
Oh, yeah, exactly. Pride's a sneaky one. A lot of times people think it's prideful to be the guy in the front on the stage, and it's like, oh, that guy's prideful. And it's like, honestly, he's just being himself. He's being vulnerable a lot of times. But the real prideful people oftentimes are the shy people. And this is why it says cowards don't enter into the kingdom of heaven. Because the shy people that don't want to stand up and say things, a lot of times you're shy, but really you're just full of pride. And that's why you don't speak, because you're afraid that you're going to be judged by other people. And that's why Jesus says, you deny me before man, I'll deny you before the Father. And this is why cowards don't go into heaven, guys. Cowards get lumped in with this rest of the sinners.
That's a good point.
Because it's pride that keeps you from speaking your mouth and saying the truth. We all need to be a little bit more boisterous, guys. Just heads up.
Well, it's also being a coward. The reason you're a coward is because you really don't believe you have God's backing, right? Yeah, it's kind of like, who do you really trust? It's like that. If you're a coward before men, it's because you really don't believe in the thing that he's promised, and then he's with you, and then he's going to fight your battles. And then if like all the things we read about it, like that, if you're maligned and people talk bad about you, well, Jesus said it would be like that. So like, so then if you think about, if you get treated badly for doing what's right, it says in Peter that's a reward for that. If you get treated badly for being bad, there's no reward in that. So the point is like that. I think when push comes to shove, the person who believes will show you what they believe. The coward will show you what he actually believes, and it's in nothing. It's in himself. Yep. All right, but let's check this out. Let's watch this. We got a couple of clips, and I'll tease this right now. Is that again? There's going to be a Patreon cut pretty much every week. Sometimes they'll be the same. At the very least, the Patreon cut will be released early. But I'm going to show some clips from a TV show and a movie. So it's not because I don't want to show them on YouTube and I'm trying to hold something back. It's likely because these will get copyright striked. But anyways, we're going to show a clip. We're going to start off from that show, Lucifer, which I think is really interesting because it shows you what he looks like, but what he maybe actually looks like.
Your
That's
guy with wings.
that's so disturbing at the end where she's looking at him, pining for him. It's like, so this, I guess, this is his girlfriend in the show, and I tried to watch the show a little bit just to see what they would reveal, but I just couldn't. I couldn't watch it. It was just, it
You
was
couldn't even do it.
It was terrible. And then, but yeah, like I guess I saw a earlier clip where like, yeah, this is his girlfriend. Yeah, it's like that she's like in love with the devil.
Yeah, not just the devil, like the most wicked, evil person that would ever have existed throughout all time and space. Like, he is a rapist, we'll say. He is a murderer. He is a child thing, and does bad things to all the people and all the other terrible things this man would be. Like, if you were to like really accumulate or culminate the essence of who Satan is, Asatan, or the devil, or Lucifer, or Godriel, or whatever you want to call him, like if you were to culminate all of his characteristics of who he is the one whispering these ideas, coming up with these ideas, sharing these ideas, and influencing other people to do all these terrible things. You think that's not in him? It's absolutely in him. So to like make you feel sorry for the man that's putting these ideas into people's minds is so backwards and ridiculous. Like, you think about it that way. Like, he is literally, every person that's done terrible things to children, that idea was planted in their mind by that man.
Yeah, yeah, right. And
That
so,
man, right there.
So what the irony
That
is,
was the thing.
and again, this is probably when I make the YouTube cut, is when we were talking about the Kanye's new song.
You
right?
said it.
Whatever. I mean, I guess the point is that, so if you talk about banned from the internet for the most part, right?
Oh, yeah.
But if the song was Hail Satan,
No, it wouldn't have been a problem at all.
it would not have been an issue at all.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been a problem.
I mean,
at all.
like, isn't there a little bit of irony there? It's like that. That's why, like, that you have these Satanists or just provocateurs. They'll say, "Oh, if you can have a Christmas display at some kind of public building, well, we should be able to have a Baphomet display." But what you see, what that represents is like, you see it with the Baphomet with the children. It's like, Brian and I obviously know, we don't even have to get into all this stuff, but it's like the fact that you have this goat statue with breasts, this weird thing with like a serpent between its legs, and then you have children standing around that, and you don't make the connections. Is like, this is beyond our perception of evil. Think way worse than whatever the worst thing you could think of, and that's what we're talking about with these evil demonic entities,
dude.
But like, but that is okay to say, like, that's good, in this day and age. But one man who's obviously been used as, let's just say, I'm not going to defend him here, but I would just say, one man is used as a symbol for propaganda to promote whatever political and social agenda you have. But we can't all agree that the devil's bad, the one who wants to take you to hell.
Yeah. We think Hitler's worse than the devil somehow. It's like kind of comical.
It's the height of idiocy. And that's how you really know it's like that, who really runs this place. That if it was Hail Satan versus Kanye would, I mean, obviously Lil Nas X already did that, right? He's given the devil lap dance and everything. That's totally fine.
Yeah. You know, the interesting thing is, like, you know, you mentioned lap dance, and I just think of, like, you know, even that term, like Santa's lap, Satan's lap, like that was like where they were, like, that's that alone too, like putting your child on Santa's lap, bro. It is
pretty freaking creepy, isn't it?
Bro, it's literally like a Moloch sacrifice. It was like they put that image of the lap, that they would put the human sacrifice in the lap of this thing. It's almost like the same thing. That's why your children scream and cry when you try to put it on Santa's lap. They're like, no, they don't want to be
stranger danger.
Yeah,
like,
their
to
spirit
the
knows
degree.
Something's wrong. Their spirit knows in their heart. They're like, I don't want to be on this random person's lap. There's something wrong with the situation. I don't want this. Like, dude, there's something. Like, the spirit knows. Your child's spirit knows. Don't do that. Don't do that, guys. Don't do that. But yeah, no, I think it's all it's so comical that literally we think it's okay to put to have these kind of lap dance things of Santa or Satan versus in comparison is just so like if that doesn't wake people up. Dude, you know that a lot of people don't even know that song exists. I would ask.
I'm sure
people,
that they don't. I mean, obviously, like I said, they're trying to scrub it from the internet. But like I said, if it was talking about the devil, it would be fine. And maybe you know what? Maybe Kanye's playing 5D chess is to alert to that significant salient point we just made is the fact that you can't talk about this guy, but you could talk about a lot of many other evil guys. If it was Hail Stalin,
what if he rechanged it?
Well, I think the point is you could do it. You could probably make that song, and if it was what is it?
What if he said Heil Lizard? What if he just changed it to Heil Lizard and he put it out? Dude, how epic would that be? That would be so funny if he like changed.
Are you trying to talking about the lizard people, Brian? Or are you talking about
no? I'm just thinking it would be funny though.
That you would definitely not be able to do Heil Lizard because then obviously everyone would know you're talking about Hillary Clinton.
Oh, you don't think so? You don't think Heil Lizard would get away? I think Heil Lizard would be acceptable in the community.
You should try.
People wouldn't know.
Maybe use it on your backup account to see if you get banned. Don't use it on your main account.
They need to just change the lyrics of the song, Heil Lizard, and then he'll release it, and everyone will know that we'll know. You know what I mean? Like
maybe so. Well, that being said, let's check out the other video. So it's interesting. So in the Lucifer show, he is presented like kind of like the guy who wanted the sticker, right? He's really not that bad. He's more misunderstood.
He's misunderstood.
Yeah, he's misunderstood. Yeah. He's really not the bad. He's actually kind of an advocate. And so in The Devil's Advocate with Al Pacino and Keanu Reeves, they kind of present that, but he's still presented as evil. Like Keanu Reeves is not quite buying it. But that is how he's trying to sell himself. But it is kind of interesting how the dichotomy of like how the cultures move, where it was easy, obviously, to say the devil's just bad. You maybe have a good argument, like why you'd want to listen to him because he is persuasive. But back in, I guess, the early 2000s, the devil was just bad. And now in the new TV series, he's actually just misunderstood. He's really not all that bad.
He's good. He's a good guy.
Who could possibly deny the 20th century was entirely mine? All of it, Kevin!
What do you think, Brian?
What that movie is. I don't know what that movie is.
That's The Devil's Advocate. But yeah, like obviously, that's pretty creepy when he says the 20th. Who could deny the 20th century's all mine? All of it.
That's pretty true.
Alpha Talks brought that quote up before. Yeah, that does ring true. Like that, he's like, it's my time now.
Dude, he was making like the 1776. He was let out. He's just working his way up to the 800s, and then they got the 20th century, bro. He was like, this is mine.
Well, you could kind of see like in the way that viewed through the short season is that, yeah, right. So let's just say he was released. And of course, I've been watching some more Tolkien stuff, and actually, I downloaded all the books, so I'm going to start listening to all of them. So I'm going to try to get that more fleshed out. But it's pretty interesting, yeah. So like, if you watch
Tolkien nerd now,
I'm already kind of a nerd, and I mean, like, I'm kind of a hip nerd, but like I obviously know all the nerd stuff. But if you watch like the Fellowship of the Ring, it says there's rumors of a shadow in the east.
In the east.
Right.
Yeah.
And so like in the eastern part,
Tales
of course,
of a whisper.
Yeah, right. It's a whisper, it's a shadow. It's like this thing that it's a spirit got released, right? It's not a full-formed being. It's a spirit that got released. And so it's interesting to think about it like that if he did get let out around 1776. And then at least the history we're told in the 1800s, it sounds like lots of lies. I mean, who really knows what happened in the 1800s? All I know is it's like none of this stuff makes sense in the 1800s.
Yeah.
But by the 19th century, or by the 20th, so the 1800s, 19th century. The 20th century
is the
1900s. What do you have? Everyone believes the lies of the past century. And that's why it's fully his. Right? Because he had, whatever happened then, that kind of disconnected us with our true past. And now he's saying, could you deny this is all mine? I'm peaking. This is my time. Who could deny it? All of it. Because now the history reflects what the devil wants us to know versus what's true. Right? Does it make sense,
So
right?
true. It's even interesting the fact that we call it the 20th century, but yet it's somehow the 1900s is called the 20th century. And it's
Well,
like,
I guess
why
you don't
is
have the
it
zero. You don't have the 0th century because the first century is like,
first century, I guess.
I mean, so
yeah.
it does lag a little, but it is a little bit weird every now and then when you think about it.
Yeah. So I don't know, but it's fascinating though. But like, it's definitely telling. I mean, like, man, I haven't seen that movie, but I'm guessing that he's like his son. He finds out he's the son of Satan or the devil or something, and he's a lawyer. He looked like he was a lawyer of some kind. I don't know, but
I think the way he's kind of presented it, he's like, I've had many children, and I don't think he's talking about like literally children, like he fathered them. I think what he's really saying is like, in the same way that we are children of God, it's because they're of their father, the devil, because obviously he offered them all the things and they took the deal. So they're his children. Whether if it's not, I don't think it's a Nephilim situation. I think it's literally just like you're of the spirit of the devil, of your father.
Is that what that movie is about? So he like makes an agreement with the devil or something?
Well, in the movie, it's the devil shows up as a man, and of course takes different forms. He's guiding Keanu Reeves along to this place, and Keanu Reeves is good, but he does have some pride, I think, because he's this lawyer who's had like this undefeated record, and so obviously he doesn't want to lose. And so, what will he willing to compromise in order to be this? I think he comes from like a small town to then into being like this big shot New York City lawyer, Manhattan lawyer, and so Al Pacino's character is stewarding him along, and he's actually, again, he's not who you might think, and that's why people are. I don't want to be too mean to the futurists, but when you say Trump is the Antichrist, it's like you're really not all that into it, right? Like, because you really understand like that the devil is not that on the nose, right? It's like he's trying to pump the man up, right? So he's the one who you don't see because he really doesn't want you to see him. He has power through deception. So if he really revealed who he was, then obviously, again, people would say that's what Brian and I try to do often, is to show the devil's real. So therefore, if you want to know the truth, Jesus is real and he's more powerful. So therefore, this day choose Christ.
Yeah.
Right. Today's the day of salvation. Choose Christ because he is real. So if the devil was too obvious, he would give the game away. Right. So he's not that obvious. So he's taking different forms, and he's not trying to put himself in there, but he's trying to put men in positions in order to do his work, and he doesn't have to do it. That's exactly the same way that Sauron does it in that Rings of Power show. He's putting other people in the position to make the deals. And he shows Keanu Reeves at one point, almost in the exact same way, that he said, no, I thought you were going to lose that case. You can't win them all. And then Keanu Reeves is like, but I don't lose. So Keanu Reeves is the one who sinned because of his pride. And that is what I don't know. The more I'm watching that, I'm like, man, maybe the devil really is a man. I mean, like, the more I'm seeing it in the shows, it's like, it sort of makes sense that if he could take the form of a human, which I believe he can, well, why wouldn't he?
Definitely possible. I don't know. I mean, yeah, the Anakim angels could all take the physical form. So, if he does take the form of somebody, I mean, it's not. And from what my learning of perspective of demon possession, it would be no different than if he was to possess a body of an individual. Like, to me, it's like the same thing. Like, so I don't know. I mean, you could just go into some dude that was in a coma and then pop up and like it control the dude's body or something.
Well, it was interesting in that show, The Rings of Power, is when the goo possessed this man. The man looked different. before he was possessed. I mean, like it was like literally a different actor, and when he came out, he looked different. So I mean, you really think about it. I mean, again, like the spiritual entities could probably do. I mean, I guess the thing is, we have no idea the limitations of the angels. We know they're limited, but we don't really know what their limitations are. So he could either, I mean, for all we know, they could just turn into a man. They could just show a vision of a man. Or, yeah, it says in the Bible, it says that Satan came into Judas. I don't really know what that means. I don't know if that's literally the devil or if it was just a demonic spirit. I mean, the truth is we really don't know. But yeah, but it does say that Satan came into Judas. So
does it say Satan himself came possessed
well, I mean,
or does it say Satan?
Well, it just says Satan.
Satan. It
just says Satan. So and that's what I've always tried to draw a distinction between that our adversaries, plural, are all Satans.
Yeah.
Satan is our adversary. So the devil, the serpent, the dragon is Satan for sure. But there's more than one Satan. I think that's why even in the book of Revelation, it's like you have this hydra, this dragon with more than one head. I think it's because that all the fallen are Satan.
Yep.
But there's one. I think there's one. There was one serpent in the garden, and that's the one we typically focus on. But maybe that might be almost like part of his plan is that you don't really think about all the other ones that he's controlling and he's doing. But of course it is. I don't know. It's way more interesting to think because we obviously know. Brian knows better than anybody that Satan is working amongst us through demons. But to think that the head guy, that old serpent, is really showing up in human form, affecting people like in a literal way, like literally talking to them, and they don't even know he's there. That is chilling, but man, it's like it makes so much sense, doesn't it?
Definitely could be a thing. So I don't know.
All right, we probably talked too much about the devil already, but like we should switch gears. And this video I'm going to show, I know that me and Brian, based on last week, we have a different perspective on this.
Oh, okay, cool.
Mr. Ian Carroll, I think it's time we had a talk, little buddy. So yesterday, I was going through X and I happened to see that. It doesn't even look like you, by the way, bro. Like, what? Anyways, look, wearing the red Kabbalah bracelet just as Tucker Carlson. There's a big club and you ain't in it, is what somebody wrote. So, of course, we're like, oh, red plate, no big deal. So you answered with, I love the internet so much. My girlfriend's dad gave us both bracelets 2 weeks ago. When he got me was red. We just joked about it. She said I didn't have to wear it, but I said, no, I'm definitely wearing it. And then you got the nerve to tell people, touch grass, guys. Take a deep breath. The Illuminati aren't the only people who have access to the red string. But this red string has a little eyeball in it, Ian. Now, why would it have the eyeball in it, bud? So I see this comment up here on the eyeball. He literally made a dad joke about like, here's an eye to always remind you I'm watching you. My girlfriend, what? I thought it was funny. Oh, did you, Ian? Because it's literally a Kabbalah Jewish myth. What? Are you joking right now, bro? Are you joking? A quick Amazon search, man. Check it out. Handmade jewelry. Kabbalah protection. Dude. As much smack as you talk about this right here, dude, then you're going to wear the bracelet right now and everybody's going to see it. Be like, hey, man, what's up with this? What got me was your little response. Touch grass, guys. When you're the one that we tell people as content creators, always look for the hidden symbolism, hidden messages, and then you go off and do some shit like this. Honestly, dude, it's really a slap in the face, man, to us as content creators, to be honest with you, bud. So go ahead and address this with some lame, oh yeah, bro, oh yeah, man, blah, blah, blah. It's getting you more engagement, man. I know how the game works, dude.
Brian, you have the floor.
Yeah, so, well, I'm friends with Ian, so, like, I think Ian's great. I think he's awesome. I think he's brought a lot of truth and light and revealed a lot of stuff, and I think the Lord's working in his life, like, immensely. I think God is looking over him, and everybody makes mistakes. Everybody's human. I don't think there's that there's some overarching demonic thing that's controlling every individual part of our life. I think the devil sneaks in through little ways and gets people to turn by turning little things, and you make little mistakes of pride. You like will say, oh, I'm going to do this thing because who cares? I don't care if people freak out about it. And that's a little bit of our pride not being genuine to the circumstance, you know? And so I think to my perspective, I think Ian's bringing a lot more truth than he's brought any negativity into the world. And I think that's totally of the Lord. And I think that's good because we worship God in spirit and in truth. Right. And so like in some aspect, he's brought truth, and I think he's revealed a lot of stuff, and it's opened so many people's eyes. So I would say that I think maybe the only danger there is like, you know, Ian's getting real big, and he's you know, don't let pride get a hold of him and think that you know, I know that in his heart, you know, he may not think that means anything. Like he probably is just like, whatever, my dad gave me this bracelet. But the reality is like, you know, the followers, the people that follow him, like a lot of Christians now are going to be turning away from listening to him, and that's going to create more confusion from the enemy. And so like, I think Ian just needs to be a little bit more careful in his heart and like how he's what he's doing, and can't be too much like, whatever, my dad gave me this thing or whatever,
or his girlfriend's dad.
Yeah, his girlfriend's dad, and can't just be like whatever. He would just need to be a little bit more guarded, because you got to think when you're in the spotlight and you're doing stuff for the Lord, the enemy's coming at you to attack you, to bring you down in multiple different ways. And like, you know, he's not even a Christian fully. So like, but he is coming to the understanding of Christ. And that's one of the things that we as Christians need to continue to witness and love and show love to him so that he understands it. Right. So but like, he's not fully aware of it. So of course Satan's going to be bringing stuff. Of course his girlfriend's dad is probably demonized and probably like doesn't even know what he's doing, and is probably being influenced by demons to try to destroy. Like I almost guarantee you some demonic spirit was whispering in his girlfriend's dad's ear to do this thing, to give it to Ian, to make him feel like he's connected. And then I guarantee Ian probably was like, well, you know, I want to show respect to my girlfriend's dad and whatever. And he probably put it on thinking whatever, and thought, oh, this is probably bad, but whatever, because it's not his heart. Like he's looking at the intentions of his heart, you know? And like Ian doesn't look into religious stuff. He's not somebody that watches religious stuff at all, and he doesn't.
I think he's looked into one religion in particular, Brian.
No. Well, he hasn't looked into the religious aspect of it though. He's only looked into the money. He follows the money, and he follows.
Well, I mean, how do you separate it from the religion we're talking about?
Well, that's the thing. He's not a spiritual dude. He's not like, he doesn't actually believe in spiritual stuff. So he wrote me, and he was like, "Hey, bro, like I'm not spiritual at all." He's like, "But like what you're explaining makes a lot of sense." Like he's like, I actually like the stuff that you're explaining puts a lot of pieces of the puzzle together for me, is what he wrote me basically, because he was just like, dude, he's like, this makes sense, like that it's demonic. He's like, because he can't figure it out. He can't pinpoint it. And he doesn't believe in like spiritualism or
well,
things of the Lord.
He did talk about that Leslie Wexner having a demon. So I mean, he does believe in demons.
Yeah, but that wasn't until after I told him, yo, demons are real. So like he didn't know what to think of it. So the only thing he's looking into now is that there may be demons. And so like that's kind of his perspective, but he's not aware that, you know, the evil eye and all that other stuff. He's not looking into the historical context of everything. He can only research so much. He's one guy, and he's only been doing it for not even that long.
Well, so. Right. Well, so then allow me to retort. I mean, so I would just say we talked about this on the phone, and the sad part for me is the fact that obviously I've shared, I mean, I'm not even sure exactly how many videos of his on the channel, on this very podcast. I like a lot of his videos. They're very well researched, and yeah, I mean, they're pretty controversial, and actually that's why I don't show more of them. And they're also long, so I don't show them on the show because it's hard to, you know, JT's Mixtape is a variety show. We can't be spending the whole show showing one guy's video. But that being said, it just seemed to me like that Clark Payne had a very salient point, is that when you're going to talk about the hexagram flag, how do you not know about the symbol of the bracelet? Because the bracelet is, for us who've been in the conspiracy game for a little while, is something I learned a long time ago. Like people like Jared Kushner, Ivanka, you have even, I like Tucker Carlson. He wears the bracelet too. Madonna. I'll show you a picture. You'll see there's a lot of celebrities wearing the Kabbalah bracelet. And if you guys don't know what the Kabbalah is, Yeah, it's Jewish mysticism. It's like when I first heard that Ivanka Trump converted to Judaism, in my mind, of course, as growing up probably in like a dispensational church, I thought, oh, well, the Jews are still just keeping the Torah. And then so when she converted to Judaism, I thought, oh, well, I guess she's not eating pork or something like that. No, that's not what it is. It's literally it's Satan. It's some form of Satanism. It's literally like the Babylonian type mystery schools. It's all about esoteric Gnostic knowledge. And then so them wearing that bracelet, to me, obviously, when I see that, it means something. And I take no pleasure in saying this, is that when I see somebody like Ian Carroll doing that, yeah, like that. I've said this often on this podcast, and this obviously includes anybody who does the stuff that, if you want to be called a truther, our currency is truth, right? And how reliable we can be as a witness to people, because we're the reason why alternative media like YouTube and podcasts and social media, all the like, is because the mainstream has let us down. And so we don't like liars. And so once you lie to us, it's like it's really hard for it to regain that trust. And I think, to me, I was telling Brian, is that it's really disappointing, because when I saw that he wore that bracelet, because I saw the tweet and I was like, whoa, this is a plot twist, because I didn't expect that. The first day he's guest hosting for Candace Owens, he wears that bracelet. And to me, I was like, well, he's going to have to address this, because everybody on X was lighting him up talking about this. And so I was waiting to hear his response. And then his response was that his dad's girlfriend got them both matching bracelets. And I was like, ooh, I don't know what he was going to say. I don't know if there was a good explanation for that, but I don't know if I like that one. And then, yeah, when he was saying that the evil eyeball on it, actually, it was funny. I wanted to give him credit, because I was like, okay, so most of the time I see the Kabbalah bracelets, it's on the left hand. So I was like, it's the right hand. So maybe it's something different. But then literally, when he shows the picture of the matching bracelets, it's literally the evil eye in a red bracelet. And then his girlfriend's got a turquoise one with the evil eye. And then if you look up Kabbalah bracelets, you'll literally find that one. You'll find the one he's wearing. And so to me, it's like, bro, what? Let's just say that I would love for there to be an innocent explanation for it. And even if what he said is true, it's kind of like that being able to trust somebody is obviously paramount. For two is being aware enough to know, like, that, well, what are you doing? Like, how did you not know that? If you're researching the little hats in the Star Country, how did you not make the connection of, hey, this is a pretty big symbol of the people who are kind of affiliated with them, and then you wear that probably on the biggest day of your career? That, I mean, to me, that's the part that really kind of throws me, that, like, how did you not know that? And I mean, to me, I guess, to put it all out there, I've been banned on TikTok. Many of my friends have been banned on TikTok. A lot of people have wondered aloud that, how did this guy accumulate almost 2 million followers on TikTok without being banned? Talking about something way more controversial than I ever talked about on my channel. And I think that's the part that, like, people have already kind of thought, could this guy be a plant? And then you see this, it's like, it's kind of like, I don't know, if he came out with an upside down cross necklace, like on the day that he got guest host for Candace Owens, don't you have to say, like, this guy's discernment, even if we're not talking about biblical discernment or Christian discernment, it's like, this guy's a level of awareness is zero to do that. Because it literally is, it's like, he just threw a party and he just dropped a deuce in his own punch bowl by doing that.
So what an expression. This is what I'd say, guys. Like, there's a lot of things. Like, a lot of people saw JT's Freemasonic bricks in his background.
Oh yeah, Formerly, I had so I moved, and when I moved, I already had the white here, and then I went and got. Believe it or not, me and Brian are not actually in the same studio, but I did. I got me Brian's. I got like this. This is like obviously you get this at Home Depot. Sorry to give you too much insight.
Don't tell us our
Yeah,
secret
it
before
would
we
take
get
the
our
glamour
stuff.
away from this. But when
Everyone's
I
gonna
lived,
copy us now.
yeah, when I lived in my parents' house, you know, you got most people, if you know the whole story about me, I'm not going to get into that right now. But yeah, they have beige walls, so
Yeah.
like you can't just roll with beige walls. And no offense if you do, if you haven't upgraded yet, but like yeah. So I thought, hey, you know, it looks cool. I like that kind of industrial look. You know, maybe because I've always kind of liked that old world look, where like you're in cities and they have like repurposed places and you see a little brick. I thought that was cool. And I never in a million years thought that somebody would say he's a secret Freemason because he's got bricks in the background. Until I got accused of that on multiple streams and I got annoyed with it. And of course I'm thinking like I'm not going to be provocative in that way, like to say, screw you guys, I'm going to keep the bricks. I got rid of the bricks.
You know, see, that's the difference, though. You know, like so people were like, "Oh, JT's bricks, he's a Freemason," and they were like trying to.
Yeah, but I didn't wear a
like,
pentagram shirt, like something I should have known. Like the
okay, but here's the difference. I wasn't aware of the red string thing. Okay, and I've studied a lot of occultic stuff, but I wasn't aware of the red string thing. Honestly, I don't know.
Literally, I am shocked that you didn't know that.
I saw it on Tucker Carlson's wrist, and I tried to look in some old text for it, and I couldn't find anything related to it. So it's kind of like a new thing.
But then I told you, I remind you that it was actually really old. I think I'm not exactly sure because it's like again, like you get into the esoteric stuff, they don't tell you exactly where the stuff comes from.
The red string around.
But if you read about the story of Judah and Tamar, so Tamar has twins, Perez and Zerah, and so when they're about to give birth, and it's kind of almost similar to the story of Esau and Jacob, right? Because one's about to come out first, but then it ends up being like the other one. And so, so Zerah sticks his hand out the womb first, and they tie a red string around. And this is the book of Genesis. I think it might be chapter 30, somewhere around that range. He sticks his hand out, and the midwife puts a red string around his wrist. And then he pulls it back, and then Perez comes out first, which is interesting because Perez is in the line of Jesus, and Zerah is not. So it's kind of interesting that they would be elevating the red string thing, whatever that is.
Yeah. So my thought is this: is like I, that when a relationship comes into your life, okay, there is going to be a lot of compromises that people make, okay. He's got this new girlfriend in his life, Ian does. And like, that's why the new girlfriend and his dad, like there's some compromise going on, obviously. And he's like thinking, how do I impress them? How do I, there's some part of pride. There's some part of like, oh, my girlfriend's dad got this. He wants to win the girlfriend's dad over. That's the mistake he's making. You understand? Like Satan is sneaky. Satan sneaks in via pride. Like he sneaks in via pride. So like and it's the of course he probably felt in his spirit, I probably shouldn't wear this, but he's like, you know what, you can buy red string anywhere. Okay. My dad gave me this. My girlfriend's dad gave me this, whatever, guys, get over it. Right. In a way, he's actually making the deal with the devil to some degree by, even though it's not like an actual promise to the devil, but what he's saying is he's like saying, I am making a compromise on my person by wearing a bracelet that he doesn't normally wear for the sake of this relationship for this girl, right? I mean, this is actually the same way that Katy Perry made the deal with the devil. It wasn't by, it wasn't, not saying that Ian's making the deal with the devil, guys. Okay, just clarifying. But this is like how this is how the demons sneak in. Katy Perry originally was asked to sleep with somebody, and she kind of pretty much describes that she did. To get to the position she was at, right? So you make the deals in little subtle ways at the beginning to get to the position of higher status, right? So for whatever reason, Ian probably knew against his better judgment, I probably shouldn't wear this thing. It's probably not good. But, the sentiment is my girlfriend's dad gave it to me, so I can justify that it wasn't something occultic, right? But in turn, what ends up happening is it ends up damaging your relationship with some of your audience members who are, a lot of them are Christian, you know, that are now following him, that are like paying attention.
Well,
to what
even
he's
the ones
talking
who
about.
even the ones who are not
And-
Christian just think
but
like
they know about the occult,
You just
yeah.
think you're full of it now because it's like
Yeah.
because they have obviously, again, I think that's the real problem with his defense now is because if you see the tweet, and I'll put the tweet up now, if you see the tweet, it's like he knew that people were going to say something if he wore this red bracelet, and he said I was going to wear it anyways. And I think to me, that's why like the things with the bricks.
It's the same way Katy.
But I guess the point is like, let's just say the bricks is a stumbling block for people in the audience who think that, oh, if he's got this in the background, that must mean he's a Freemason.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not, and I can tell you that a million times, but if it keeps coming up, it's like, do I really want to fight on that front? And do I really want to muddy the waters in that way? I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to jump every time the audience tells me, or I say how high every time the audience tells me. But at some point, it's like, I do want you to trust me. So I don't want to troll you in a way where it's like, oh, they're gonna love to call me a secret Satanist here, and then at the same time, it's like we just want people we can just rely on, right?
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying.
But JT, what if you just met your wife and she painted you that brick background, and she's like, "Look what I made."
She actually did help make that.
You know what I mean?
She actually did help make that. But
Exactly.
I asked her to help make it. But I mean, I guess the point is,
think
like,
about it. Think about that, though.
Hey,
See?
I just painted you this pretty Baphomet. Do you want to just stick it in the background? It's like
That was pretty Baphomet.
And I would be like,
Yeah, you know.
I'd be like, we need to talk.
We-
It's not you, it's me. No, but at some point you need to have like standards where you say like, like this is not this kind of stuff. Like this is who I am. Like this is not going to work here. And it's like if you're dealing in this, where I don't know. I think that I don't know. Like I said, I don't want to try to delve into like exactly whatever his heart said in a moment. If the story he presented is true. But at the same time, like that, I think for us on the truth journey, I mean, sometimes it leaves people out of your lives eventually because it's like, no, like this is who I am now. And I'm going to uncover truths that are uncomfortable for me, and they might be uncomfortable for you. And if you're not willing to deal with that, then you're not coming on this journey with me because like this is the winnowing process, right? Of like, like, and I think that, again, like he's not a Christian, so like I'm not going to try to hold him to a standard that I feel like that we should be holding ourselves to. But at the same time, it's like we show lots of videos of lots of people who are just in a conspiracy, and I do think that a lot of them are generally trying to get into the truth. I think that's what really bothers me is like it's the muddying of the waters because that. I'd be a hypocrite if I said, I already know that Tucker Carlson wore the Kabbalah bracelet. I still show his videos because I think he's got a significant voice. And I think the things he says can be significant because his pull on the general populace, right? So Ian Carroll, it's not like because he's worn the bracelet now, I'm not going to show him on JT's mixtape. But I think it's kind of like that. To me, is really disappointing because of course, starting out as a TikToker like Ian did, we've never seen anything like Ian Carroll. At least in my time in TikTok. I mean, maybe there's more examples. Just in the sphere of people that we kind of know, and I don't know Ian like Brian does, but Ian Carroll started off talking about shampoo, and then he was on Joe Rogan, and then he was on the Hodge Twins, and then he was guest hosting with Candace Owens and Roseanne. And now he's like literally the fill-in host for Candace Owens. It's like this is like a TikToker made good story. And of course, this is the kind of story that we want to believe is legit because, again, I'm not trying to be the biggest podcaster in the world. That's not. I mean, I want to be whatever God wants me to be. But the truth is, it's like you want to believe that this is organic, and I think that to me, it just looks like. Again, I want to be able to defend the people that I enjoy listening to. And then when he does something like this, I could not be intellectually honest and talk to my audience here and say it's not a big deal because I'm not sure if it's a big deal or not. I mean, to me, it just looks bad.
Okay, here's what I would say. Ian, bro, listen. Tell your girlfriend's dad. I know you're trying to impress him. And I know that you like. I know that you like your girlfriend. I know that
Just
your
tell him
girlfriend's
you
dad's
think it looks
cool.
gay and don't wear it.
Just tell him you think it looks gay. Don't wear it. Yeah, there you go. That's a good response. Or maybe, bro. How about this? Kate, tell your dad. Be like, look, I appreciate the gift. You're amazing, but it's actually affecting my career online. So I'm gonna have to cut it. Okay. And like, dude, bro, how epic would that be? Take some scissors and cut the thing on a live, like, dude, cut it and then make a video talking about the bracelet, talking about the Kabbalah stuff. I know it's a little woo-woo for you.
Say I disavow.
Yeah, say I disavow. Yeah, and then, bro, it will fix all the problems. It would actually make you even more epic. Honestly,
you know
bro.
what?
Because the thing is, like, nobody does that. Nobody admits that they make mistakes, and you're genuine. I know you're genuine. You're honest, bro. So, like, dude, just be genuine, be honest, be like, look, okay, I'm getting rid of this, and then be like, sorry, girlfriend's dad, I love you, but like, here's the deal, and like, cut and like maybe do a video. I know it's a little bit woo-woo. It goes into the woo-woo space that you try to stay away from. Ian doesn't go into the woo-woo space and the religious, like, occultic spaces. He likes to try to be more logical and he follows the money. But maybe do a little bit into that the woo-woo space there.
You know
and
what?
kind
See
of
that,
figure out,
Brian. See, that's the thing. It's like you can't say that. Oh, he's trying to be agnostic in this space because again, we show over and over again that it's like if people don't get this, it's like, well, then obviously his whatever you could learn from this guy is going to be so capped off anyways, because what we're obviously showing, and I'm sure everybody in this audience is fully on board, is that who you serve dictates what you do. Obviously, some gods want you to be the richest person in the world so that you can have the most influence. And I think they want you to use that money for more influence. Now, obviously, our God says, store up your treasures in heaven. So you cannot discount which God they serve. And then when they show the symbols of the God they serve, if you put on one of those, well, then obviously you're going to get some blowback from the people who are obviously more aware than you are, because you could have all the receipts and you could show do all the finger things and show all the articles and stuff like that. But if you don't grasp the spiritual and the stuff that's in here, you don't really even know why they do it. Because why they do it, our why, Ian's why, those people that we expose as why, is the most important part of what we do, because that is the unseen thing. Because, yeah, following the money, you can connect it, but it's like you're like limiting your surface level connections to money in one country. But we understand that there's a much bigger thing that is not seen, and that's what really connects them together. And that's the real deception. So when you show that symbol, it's kind of like you can tell me all these other things that are true. And again, I'm not saying I'm unfollowing, I'm unsubscribed. I'm saying that, unfortunately for me, that it is like, and I think this is, I know because you like him, Brian. And I said, I liked his videos, and he explains things in an awesome way.
He explains it really good for a lot of people.
But the real problem is like that. I hate to tell you this, Brian, but like there's a great majority of his audience are never going, like, it doesn't matter what he does next. That like it's done, like, because in the way he did it and the way his response right away was, and I'm not saying I'm like that, but I'm saying that I believe in that Jesus sent us amongst the wolves, so we need to be as wise as serpent and as innocent as dove. And the truth is that this guy who's not a Christian, who's not, I mean, I don't even care if he says he was a Christian. There's no man that you find on the internet, behind a pulpit, behind a lectern, behind whatever, that I trust fully. So I mean, I'm always have that healthy bit of skepticism. But I mean, like, I guess you do kind of like, I want to be able to connect with people that I do really trust fully. And like I said, I think to me, it's just disappointing. I mean, more than anything, I want. Well, Ian, if you're listening, you're probably not. But if you ever listen to this podcast, we want to be able to defend you. Like you want. If you really knew, you'd probably want us to be able to defend you, because me and Brian are genuine, like, because we really do, like, we hope the best of people, and this is not, my goal here was not to drag him through the mud. It was literally like, hey, full disclosure, we've talked about him on multiple podcasts, I would be amiss if I didn't say something. And I just want to say that, like, listen, what we do and almost all of the stuff we do is, like, as I'm talking about, listen to the Silmarillion and the Lord of the Rings. I mean, I know it's not the gospel. So I'm saying, like, that I've learned to be able to listen to different information, read different information, and spit out the bones. So what I'm saying is, like, in the same way that if you enjoy listening to Candace Owens, Roseanne, Alex Jones, Owen Benjamin, people like that, who obviously, yeah, like, listen, like, obviously, if they're not preaching the true gospel of Christ the whole time, then yeah, you be very on your guard on, like, what you take, because they say a lot of true things, and maybe some of the things they say are not true. And I think that's where it's always that little bit of leaven. You got to worry about that.
Well, the Bible tells us not to make any man our God, and right? And so, like, if anything you take from it, like, don't worship any of us. Don't worship any dude.
Oh, definitely.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like so easy to be like, everybody's, remember, me and JT talk about this all the time. I'm wrong. JT's wrong. We're all wrong. like when you understand that we're all just trying to figure it out, and we make mistakes, and there's things that we might not have fully right. Like, that's just the way it is. Like, that's life, And, like, the Lord reveals this to us in his spirit and in truth. And so, like, as we go, but, like, if you're not constantly leaning on the Lord, like, and you're not, like, Lord isn't your staple, foundation, like, what do you have to lean on? You know what I mean? And so, like, Ian's coming to the Lord, though. Like, I mean, like, I already know Ian's already getting revelations and getting understandings, and he's already seeking from the Lord. So, like, his heart's being brought in that direction. So my encouragement would be, like, everybody just continue to support and love him and watch him through this, because there's a battle for his attention and his soul. And if anything, we like to say that red bracelet means something, but I'd like to say that a lot of things are spiritual more than you realize. Okay. And so maybe that red bracelet that was on Ian, as well as Tucker Carlson, maybe it isn't even Kabbalah. Maybe it's something demonic more than anything. No, listen, let me finish. Maybe it's something more demonic and spiritual more than anything. And maybe that's a sign that something demonic is trying to affect this individual. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Well, what I'm saying is, like,
there is a demon.
What they believe is, in the Kabbalah, what they believe is this is some kind of protection from evil.
Sure. But
I mean, like, I'm saying, but, like, look who you're going for protection.
No, listen,
like,
listen. Let me explain. In the spiritual sense, stop thinking of it as a physical. You got to think in a spiritual sense. Like, maybe that red string really does have, like, a significant demonic intention, right? And so maybe that red string thing has something about it where, like, and when a demon has its eye on somebody, when it has its target, the demon will do what it can to trick the person to wear that mark, to let the other demons know, hey, look, I got this fool. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, I mean, I agree with that.
That's what I'm saying. So, like, if anything, you should be, like, praying for Ian and be like, bro, like, I don't know if you should be wearing that, bro. You don't have enough discernment to be like, hey, maybe this is not a good thing. Like, maybe, you know what I'm saying? Like, think of it in more a spiritual sense and be like, hey, you got to look at people's hearts all the time, Like, I've dealt with a few different people that, normally you might be like, this person's, like, the most evil person in the world. They're done. But, like, bro, they're still human in their heart, no matter how much wickedness they've done. And you have to forgive them and love them through all this. So I'm very much more, I don't know, I'm more compassionate, I guess, because I've seen a lot of the people try to escape from wickedness that have done a lot of bad things. But, that's the Lord in me, honestly. It's more than anything, because I used to be way more judgmental.
Well, I mean, I think the thing is, like, that I'm not, it's not that I'm judging Ian for doing this. What I'm saying is, like, that to me, it's more like, I'm not mad at you, Ian. I'm just disappointed. Like, and that might be, like, the even worse, is because that I do think, let's just say, if everything's above board, he was organic. He was just like one of you guys. He might have been a little bit better than us, like Brian and I. And that's why the cream rose to the top, and he got these opportunities. Because a lot of people would even say, like, sometimes, like, between, like, my friends who have been successful, and how did they get on this show? It's like, because they're good they're good. Their videos are good and they're interesting. So they get invited on shows, and then they were good on one show and they got invited on another show. Amazing how that happens in the podcast circuit.
Dude, I've had people criticize me for being on certain shows.
I know, that's
like,
what I'm
Brian's
saying.
On this show, he's false. He's not a true person. He's blah, blah, blah. And it's like, bro, they invited me on the show. I'm going to preach the gospel to every creature, bro. I don't care where I go.
Well, you don't want to limit Christ either, because you don't limit God. The fact that if God could get one of us on Joe Rogan one day, Maybe not. I mean, obviously, maybe it's not God's purpose, but obviously, that's not a hard thing for God to do. It's like literally, it's like if you're good at this space and you're good at talking, well, then eventually you go on a show and everyone likes what you have to say. So then other people want to have you on the show. That's what podcasts are. That's how it happens. But so that being said, so let's say everything about Ian was legitimate. He's definitely got people trying to come hitch their wagons to him. And there's people
And
obviously
demons.
who want to, let's just say he is genuine. Well, then, yeah, obviously the devil would say, what can I do to this guy? He's going to make it. I'm going to divert him and I'm going to use him now. So obviously he's going to use people, or maybe the devil literally just came out in a human body and just said, hey, why don't you put this bracelet on? You know, I'm not saying that his girlfriend's dad is literally the devil, but you know what I'm saying? Like that's what happens is like that. I know that for myself,
I know
as
the
I
devil's
go,
more subversive.
well, I would just say that I know for myself, and like I said, the difference between like selling out is the way it's presented on TV, where like literally you have this guy who's red with horns giving you a contract and you're signing your name in blood. Obviously, back in the day, everyone knew what selling out meant, was that you had an ideal, and then one day you just compromise that ideal for money, right? That's how you sell that. So then you're obviously, selling out to capitalists.
Capacity, he sold out to his girlfriend's dad's trust, right?
Right.
And so to some capacity, like in a sense, Ian probably wouldn't have worn that bracelet in any other sense other than a girlfriend, so I mean, in a sense,
let me
like
finish what I was going to say
okay.
real quick, because you'll understand. This is saying like that I'm not necessarily believing that story. Is that and this is why I'm saying like this is why I can't say I fully trust him now. So like this is where my head goes, is that let's just say
I trust you, Ian.
let's just say he's not listening to this.
He'll listen.
Let's just say you and I get to a certain level here, and then somebody comes with a shortcut to get a little bit higher. I think that is presented to lots of people who do what we do, is that eventually you start changing your whatever you say because somebody's paying you. And listen, as somebody who's obviously, right at the door of doing this full time, I've often really been introspective about that. Like that, man, it would be really tough if you really like the bills were getting tight and you had to pay them. Like, what would you not talk about? Not even like the stuff you would talk about. What are the stuff you would not talk about? Because like if I could just leave that part out of the show, then I would please my sponsors. That is a legitimate thing that I think of, is because I don't want to compromise myself, because I started doing this for no money. And then so when people say I'm a shill for doing it for money, it's like, no, I'm not a shill. I'm doing what I love to do. And obviously I have to get paid to do some of this in order to facilitate doing more of it. Otherwise, I'm going to get fired from my day job because I'm obviously slacking on. If you guys know how much content I put out, you obviously would have to say that something's got to give. That's why the day job's going away, is because I don't want to give this up. So the point is that it is a trap for all of us who do this, that if somebody offered you money and then now you can't talk about something you want to talk about, or even worse, is you have to talk about things you don't want to, and you're doing it in a deceitful way. Like that's a very real trap. And I don't think that most people, like, again, if you're a worldly person, you're not in Christ, I don't even know that I would even blame those people. It's like if you're Shaq and you want to promote Sprite and like you don't even drink Sprite, it's like
don't talk about Jesus. You're like, okay.
Right.
Whatever.
Well, I mean, that's the thing that people say, like in some of the music businesses, they say that you're not allowed to talk about this. And so, that's a form of selling your soul. I mean, is that fully like, are you going to hell because you did that? I mean, I don't know. I guess if you don't repent from it, you are. But I guess that's the point, is like the levels of the compromise. And obviously, it doesn't end with the one step. You still continue to walk, and then where does that go? And I think that's the point, is like that if he did get presented with something because he was really good at it, and they wanted to either stifle him or redirect him, that's the part that kind of does concern me. Like that I could legitimately see that. Not literally like a devil coming out and doing it. Like literally like, yeah, the way that the devil would actually operate in like a more subtle way.
The devil is so subversive, guys. So you got to understand, like, I think there's clearly the demons are like probably trying to find ways to make you compromise. And what I see it as is like Ian loves his liking this girl, and girlfriend's dad is being demonically influenced potentially to give him something, not knowing with the spiritual connotation, and it's Ian residing to pride in some capacity and wanting to respect the dad. And so Ian does the thing knowing against his better judgment, probably not the best idea, but he knows he has good intentions. So but the reality is he doesn't have a spiritual like guider like we do, listening to the Holy Spirit all the time. He's not necessarily doing that. So it's like without that guide, like what does it matter? He's probably like, whatever. And, and that was leading a little bit maybe into pride in some capacity. And now it's like, it's led into this thing. And that's the way the devil could get to him, because now the damage that this has done, you got to think of it this way. Like, how much more damage has Satan had by influencing the dad? I want to bet you, and your girlfriend's dad probably drinks a lot of alcohol. I'm guaranteeing you that. Okay. And I don't know him, but I'm guessing he drinks a lot of alcohol. And because it's very easy for demons to influence people when they do it a lot. So I'm going to tell you right now, like, you don't know what's happening in the spiritual realm, what's going on. But that was probably a demonically influenced gift, okay? And the demon probably, like, was whispering to him to give that to you, okay? And, gave you that thing. And now what's going to happen is you've got all these people that are now turning against your audience. There's now questioning you. And people are like, oh, he's a shield. So it's actually damaging your reputation and your integrity, bro. So, like, don't do that. Don't damage your integrity. Don't question your things just for a pretty girl and, impressing her dad. Like, don't do that. Don't do these kind of things, because that's how people sell their soul. It starts off with little compromises. The compromises get bigger. The people turn against you. And then pretty soon you're like, F it. Why not do this? Like, that's the attitude that comes about, because it's like everybody's saying I'm terrible anyways. And then eventually people are like, well, fine, I guess I'll be terrible, and so like, don't let the devil win, bro. Like, keep your integrity, keep your honesty. I know you're a genuine person. Just ignore it. That's my final thing. That's my final thought.
All right. Well, I think it's a little unfair to necessarily ascribe all the motives to the dad, but I would just say that, yeah, like, to me, like, if you're in this space,
I'm not ascribing to the dad. I'm ascribing it to the demons that are influencing.
Well, I mean, you can't say the
him.
Dad is possessed by demons.
No.
Without, like, possessing.
Yeah, I'm describing it to the demons influence people, guys, all around.
Well,
you,
for sure, but
okay?
I guess for the guy who wore the bracelet, especially the guy who wore the bracelet on Candace's own show.
Yes. Yeah.
I guess all I would just say is that, yeah, like, to me, that you don't have an excuse now, because everyone told you what it means. So don't come out prideful and wearing it again. If you actually care what's true, because if you care what's true, you would definitely not wear that again, and you'll probably have a different response. So I do think that a better response should be forthright, regardless of what happened before. And so that's what I hope, because I do think that, yeah, I mean, I believe in grace. Again, I'm not necessarily. I was born at night, but I was not born last night either. So, like, I'm not necessarily going to trust everything you say just because you said you're sorry. But I would like to see something like that a humbling of oneself. And I do think that, this is what I would like people to, this is what I would like people to say about me, is that the way I've learned most of the things I've learned, and the things how I've grown, as you guys have seen me, all the way from a lowly TikToker to now a lowly YouTuber, is that he's grown because he has admitted when he was wrong, because he was not a finished product in 2022 when he was first making his first videos. He's still growing and still learning, and then he can acknowledge when he slipped up and made mistakes, and then that's how God can, obviously, the God lifts up the humble, he lowers down the prideful. So yeah, like, obviously hopefully maybe he learns from this, is because he has taken the rocket ship to the firmament, but now he hit it, because now he's going back down. It's like how quickly you can go up, how quickly you can go back down. that maybe that obviously God can work through you much more when you show humility. And so, like,
Yeah, be humble.
hopefully he learns that. Here's the other
Cut the bracelet. Oh, and one other thing.
Okay.
You said I can't ascribe it all to the dad, but what kind of, like, come on. What kind of, your girlfriend's dad gives you a bracelet? Come on,
you have
bro,
to believe that story too.
It's
Brian.
a little sus.
Well, yeah, I mean the whole.
No, I'm saying
the
like,
point is,
obviously he
I've
could
got
be influenced
daughters.
by demons.
I've got.
He could be. Are you gonna give your daughter's boyfriend's bracelets? Come on, bro.
I'm not. Like you.
Don't do that.
I almost feel like that's
so. Do you see what I'm
like,
saying? That's why I said the dad's probably demonically influenced. That's what I'm saying.
Well, I'm not giving my daughter's boyfriend and her matchling string bracelets. With
so that way, when she goes on TV, everybody knows.
It's like I said. That's why it's hard to believe. It's because it's again like you kind of put yourself. I
believe it. I just think the dad is demonically influenced potentially. That's all I'm saying. Like he might have been suggested by something, whether he realizes it or not. Okay, Ian, is your dad, your girlfriend's dad, probably doesn't even realize it. Probably being influenced by things he doesn't realize to do this. So don't just cut it. Take a scissors and just snip it and then be like, I disavow, like do something like that. That'd be great.
Brian, let him borrow the flamethrower.
Yeah, you can borrow my flamethrower. We can burn it. Bro.
Yeah.
Like we'll set it on fire. I'll bring it over. You can shoot it.
I co-sign on that. So, all right, let's talk about, there was a big trial started this week, Brian. Did you hear about that?
No, what was
we're not going to get into details of the trial, but I wanted to show this video from Diddy's bodyguard.
Dude is a demon, bro. Dude is a demon. That dude was possessed with some kind of demon, man. He was possessed with some kind of demon. Want to be in all this red, this dark rooms with the music blasting. It had to be a certain temperature. A certain type of music for the vibration they were saying. Come on, bro. And I don't care what nobody say, man. And like when people still talk and keep on talking, if that priest ever come out and he talking, if people keep talking, you'll find out that a lot of shit that Gene Deal has said has been the truth and nothing but the truth. I was there. I was there when that priest or whoever he was rubbed that stuff on his head, put his hand on top of him, told him to grab the bird out the cage, the white dove, and he threw the dove in the air, and the dove acted like he ain't had no wings and hit the fucking ground. Boom! That motherfucker started walking my way. I'm looking like this, bro. I'm like,
who's Deal?
Gene Deal is a bodyguard, I guess. Was like let me see. I just looked this up because I didn't know exactly what he meant there. Of course, I was more focused on him saying that he was a demon.
Referring to himself?
Well, that guy was a bodyguard too, but it said Gene Deal is a former professional bodyguard, published author known for his work in the music industry. He gained recognition through his memoir, My World of Bodyguarding. The Gene Deal Show, where he discusses his experience with celebrities, shares insights on current events. Recently, he had made headlines for his claims regarding the circumstances surrounding Biggie Smalls' unaliving and his observation about Diddy. So maybe he said something about like that. A lot of people have said that Diddy had something to do with the fact that Biggie is no longer with us. Some people have alleged that he was ready to leave Bad Boy, and then he is gone.
Well, I'm gonna say is he said that dude's a demon. Like, I'm gonna let you guys know right now, nobody's a demon. Okay, there is a big narrative right now to get you to believe,
except for when the devil appears to be a man.
Okay, but listen. I'm gonna tell you from my experience of dealing with demons. Okay. Nobody is a demon. There's no physical-bodied, entitied people that are demons, okay? If they are, you would know that they're demons, okay? You would know, okay? It's a little bit different. But demons do possess people, okay? They do possess people, and they want you to hate the person rather than the principalities that we're battling with, which is, the spirits of air, And so, like, there's a lot of stuff like that pushes people towards hating individuals and thinking this person's a demon. Diddy is not a demon. He's completely demonized, He's completely demon possessed. He's completely full of demons. He's got multiple demons probably in him, and he's probably doing satanic rituals, and he's probably channeling out of his body, and it's probably not him half the time. Same thing with Kanye. That probably ain't Kanye. Like, more than half the time that you see Kanye, it ain't Kanye. That's some other entity possessing Kanye. But the real Kanye still exists. The real Kanye is still there. The real Kanye can go back into his body potentially if he can forgive and confess and make peace in his heart and his mind, and then, you know, end all the stuff and admit all the things. The real Kanye is going to be a really hard challenge for Kanye because of the amount of wickedness that he's been involved in. However, you can still do that. Like, you can still create that space where he can be brought to forgiveness of Christ and brought into the light and into love, you know. But like, this is the challenge that people, you know, take. But there's a lot of people that want to like tell you that there's demons walking among us. They don't walk among us. They're literally possessing individuals. They're possessing bodysuits. Okay.
I feel like you've ignored the past 2 shows we just did.
I know. I'm not saying it like that, bro. Like,
well, what I'm just saying is like that you say in your experience, this is what you know. But I mean, like, literally, we have said over and over again, we really do not know. And I'm not saying like this guy's correct that P. Diddy is literally a demon, like a physical manifestation, but at the same time, let's just say there's creepier things than we know about, and the things we probably don't even want to know about. But then, for all intents and purposes, though, if this man is fully possessed, like a fully possessed man, kind of like in the way that Eddie Brock in Venom gained symbiosis, where it's not like nefarious, where this like there's still this friction between the demon and the man.
I think there's
so like if let's just say this demon has gained symbiosis over P. Diddy, for all intents and purposes, it's the same entity at this point. So like, you know, like this body is a shell, and the demon and the human is in concert, like doing the things they're doing.
The human gives up their will through channeling. Okay, so like, you got to understand, when you deal with demon possession, because I deal with this like weekly, bro. Like, I see it all the time, and there's some individuals where they are fully relinquished their body to the entity through channeling. Okay, that means there's so much trauma that's happened in their life that the real person isn't even in their body. And when you start to pray, the real person will come through, and they'll be like, whoa, where am I? Like, what is going on? Like, they won't even know what's happened, because they've been out of their mind and out of their body for so long, because they've been channeling the whole time this demon has been walking in their body. And so it's like they come in and out. Like, and so there's people that, you know, there's children that have like stunted growths. Like, the children won't speak, and like, excuse me, they'll have like stunted speech and stunted like learning. And then their kids will be like hellions. Okay. And they'll be like terrible children. That's because the kid's channeling. Even as a child, people will learn to channel. Some children will channel entities, and the entity will take over that kid, and the kid will just be a little brat, and it'll be super evil. And then all of a sudden he'll switch and go back to being totally normal and calm and good. And it's like, you'll see this kind of stuff happening in this behavior with people where they're switching. That switching is when the person goes into the channeling state and the entity takes control. So they're like, to what extent? Like, I can rebuke the demon. So if I was before P. Diddy and I wanted to talk to the actual Diddy, I would be like, in the name of Jesus, Spirit, right now, you shut your mouth and I bind you. You will let me talk to Combs, whatever his name is.
Puffy.
And like,
let me talk to Puffy.
Yeah, whatever. Sean Combs. You know?
Puffy back.
And well, Puffy's the name of the demon. That's just another one of his names. So, you know, but like, here's the thing. Like, that's the demon naming himself, so that way the demon stays more in control of the body. The demon will rename people to have more control over the person.
It is interesting how he changed his name from Puffy to P. Diddy. It's like it's like a weird thing. It's
another demon.
Yeah, it does seem demonic.
Well, it's totally another demon, because Puff Daddy, Puffy, like this, the demon's name is Puff. Okay, Puff the Magic Dragon. That's a demon's name. Okay,
it also sounds a little bit gay. Both of them
probably is, but like, either way, like the Puff demon, it's another entity, and like, so that entity like changed its name because he probably passed it off to another entity. And so like the demons will share the host. And so they'll pass it along to the next person, or a higher ranking demon to a higher ranking demon. And so like the people will change their name or nickname them something else oftentimes, or they'll assume the next name if they want. But, you know, the demon's like, hey, I want to be called this now, you know, and so the demon will change the person's name. And so they'll do it, though, to try to keep the encouragement of the person staying in the state of channeling. But if I was to do it, I would address his real name. I'd be like, boom, give me your real name. And then I'd be like, okay, demon, shut your mouth. And I'd be like, bro, what was the last thing you remembered? And he probably wouldn't even remember a thing. He'd probably be like, where am I? He'd probably be like,
what year is this?
How long have I been here? Yeah, bro, he probably wouldn't even remember. Like, he would be like, I don't even know how I got here. And like that's what happens with people that are demonically influenced. So like, I don't know if they're physically walking in bodies. I think that they're more so possessing individuals. And like that's what I've seen over and over. And it's because, like, you know, this is the authority we have in Christ. And we got to look at everybody with love and compassion and be like, hey, look, like the Lord has called us to love everyone, you know? And so that's what I see. You know, there's the possibility that there are some Nephilim leftover remnants walking the earth. That's totally possible.
Brian, hold that thought.
I don't know where they're at.
Hold that thought. I've got two more videos. I actually had another P. Diddy type video, but I think this one is a good segue because of what we're talking about right now. And then we'll finish with the last P. Diddy video.
And I'll tell you one more thing, though. What's his name? You know, the confessionals and the other guys, all those other podcasts.
No. Let's not get into that. That's, you're opening up a whole different can of worms now. We'll just show this video.
Well, that's the reason why they don't like us, is because we don't buy into the idea that there could be a physical bodied thing walking on the earth. They think that we could say that.
Actually, dude, let's do that on your next Ancient Angels.
The definition of the uncanny valley effect is in aesthetics. The uncanny valley is a hypothesized relation between an object's degree of resemblance to a human being and the emotional response to the object. In simpler terms, if something looks extremely similar to a human, our senses can still determine that it's not, and our nervous system almost instinctually reacts with a fear response. This would have to be an evolved function for some reason, as the fear response is a survival mechanism. Could this mean that at some point, humans were not at the top of the food chain and had a predator that was capable of mimicry or shapeshifting? Indie game developer David Szymanski tweets, "One of the most frightening things I've ever heard is when someone pointed out that the existence of the uncanny valley implies that at some point there was an evolutionary reason to be afraid of something that looked human but wasn't. The modern definition of the uncanny valley effect seems to refer heavily to AI and robotic imposters, but that is only a modern application of our fear response. The Outsider by Stephen King does a frightful job of imagining how a predator like this could function, with the grief eater feeding on the grief surrounding a family after losing a loved one, using some sort of shapeshifting or mimicry ability to take someone's form before committing a heinous crime, causing confusion, suspicion, paranoia, and desperation, with the goal seeming to be a total family annihilation. The grief eater showcases a similar intelligence level and consciousness to its human counterpart, but has lived so long it doesn't even know when it was born, what it is, or how many of it there are, only that there are more, and he himself is a rather ravenous, wild one, and that the need to feed drives his existence, insinuating that more controlled, assimilated, and even organized grief eaters could be living among the populace of the civilized world. So why do we fear the uncanny valley effect?
Those are masks that those people are wearing. You know that, right?
Oh yeah. Well, I think the point is like
they were like the wax museum masks.
Well, that's the point though. Is like the uncanny valley is that it's because they're masked, and it's almost because they look almost real.
Almost.
They look way faker. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like if somebody was just wearing, kind of like if you think about like the movie like Point Break, and they wear like the dead president's mask. You obviously know it's a mask, and it's like, so like your mind says it's just a mask. But those look like they're good enough or it's more creepy because it's not good enough to trick us. So it's good enough to make our brain say, this is somebody really trying to pretend to be human who is not human. And that is why it's more frightening. It's kind of like like even when like they do the CGI with like when they were trying to like in those new Star Wars movies, terrible. They tried to take dead people like Princess Leia and the guy Grand Moff Tarkin, and they tried to like make CGI faces. And like the CGI, the AI is like the mouth just never moves quite right. And therefore it's more creepy. But I think that this kind of goes in the line of what I know when we had Paul, the very first episode we ever had Paul Stops from Understanding Conspiracy on, he was saying like that's why the clowns is so frightening to people, because there is this evolutionary thing. And I don't mean evolutionary like we were once tadpoles. I mean like there's something in us that we inherently know this is a predator, in the same way that a baby chick is hatched. It sees something that resembles a snake, and instantly they know it's a predator and they know to be afraid of it. What do you think, Brian? So do you think that like the grief eater and stuff like that, do you think like that there are beings like that, like P. Diddy perhaps, like rappers? Do you think that maybe P. Diddy could be a grief eater that's more socially evolved?
Did you say rapper or reaper? I'm just
Right. Like I said.
No, this is what I would say. I'd be like, that's a fascinating point. The fascinating point that the uncanny valley is really unsettling, that space between almost real. Like, why is it unsettling to us? Like, why is our default response unsettling? Well, I will tell you right now, dealing with demonic stuff and casting out of demons, there is an unsettling space that I see weekly, bro. Weekly. I see it every week. I encounter something like this. And the demons will possess people, and they will change their facial expression on their face to look just subtly unnatural. And it's so subtle that, like, average person, you may not look at it, but when you know you're dealing with demons, you'll see that little tiny subtle change, or that subtle reactionary response, or that subtle.
Well, it's like the little flicker in somebody's eye, and it's like something.
Bro, they'll blink too much.
Yeah, like their eye.
They'll blink too much. They'll lick too much. They'll do like weird kind of like things that you're just like, some of and you don't quite know what it is. Or their face actually changes. Like their eyes will do weird stuff like this. Their eyes will turn like black, bro. When I'm praying for people, I've seen some weird, crazy stuff, but it's just so subtle that you can't like quite put a finger on it. But that's what demons do, and they change people's faces, and they change the behavior and the things people say to the point where it's uncanny. Like, it's literally the definition. So demonic stuff is, I hang out in the uncanny valley quite often. Let me tell you what, like, I see, like, I'm in that valley like all the time, bro, because I have to identify it too, because like a lot of times people won't recognize, they'll get a weird feeling when they're looking at somebody that's demon possessed or dealing with demons or demonized, and they won't like know exactly what it is, but they know something's off. And it's like, well, it's maybe because their pupils are fully black. Like maybe it's because they're not normally that color. Maybe it's because their eyebrow ridge is like turned. Maybe it's because like the way they're turning their head is so unnatural. They'll be like kind of robotic. And you're like, why are they moving like that? This is not normal, like, the way humans move. Like, bro, I've seen stuff, bro. I prayed for one guy who smiled uncontrollably, and they laugh uncontrollably when we start praying. But he was like, starts smiling like uncontrollably. And he's like, and I'm like praying and talking with him, and he's like smiling. It's getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And it's like,
it's serpent-like. It's kind of like the clown thing, dude.
Bro, he's smiling at me like uncontrollably. And I'm like, bro, are you okay? And all of a sudden he goes, bam! And he slaps himself in the face. And I'm like, whoa! And he's like, I'm sorry, I don't know why I did that. And I'm like, why'd you slap yourself, bro? I'm like, bro, this is getting weird. And he's like, and then he starts smiling again, and his eyes get all wide, and I'm like, oh shoot, this is not normal. And I'm like realizing there's a demon in this guy, my friend, as I'm talking to him, and he's like uncontrollably, and I've seen this several times with the smiling thing, bro. Like it's so uncanny. It's literally uncanny. And so that is demonic responses will look almost human, but when they start to manifest, you'll see this, there'll be like this uncanny nature. So my theory of the uncanny valley to me is our own senses saying, hey, yo, that's demonic. Like, and we can recognize it.
I mean, I think that's exactly what he was saying was this, that
there is
like,
a creature.
Like,
it's
obviously,
I
think that's why he showed the Harry and what's her face, and that, like, you can tell it's them, but you know it's not them, and it's not funny. it's more scary. It's weird / scary, right? And it's like, but why is it scary? Like, but why is there any kind of a creepy thing about it? It's because, yeah, like, I mean, it does make sense that there's something that through our, the generations of people who have lived and experienced these things, and maybe it is like a little bit of stuff that's been passed down through oral traditions, that you see that and to be like wary of it. Like that,
Yeah.
you just like, I'm not exactly sure. And I think that's the scarier part, is because when you have like the line between like, this is bad, this is good. But then like, I think in culture too, is like that we don't want to be weirdos either. So we're like, I don't really want to create some social faux pas because I'm seeing something that's unusual and I don't want to be the weirdo. So like, you're not sure, like, even, because I think, again, like I always talk about like even the Mandela effect, where I don't trust my own memory enough to say that I can swear by this Mandela effect being absolutely true. So if I see something really weird, unless I can know for 100% sure that I saw what I saw and I just didn't imagine what I saw, then I'm not going to go out there and proclaim it to the world. And I think maybe that's the creepiest part, is because, like, yeah, sometimes you're internalizing this stuff and you're a little bit wary of it. Like, what do you do with that? And I think the truth of the matter is, I think that obviously Paul was onto something, and obviously Max Powers actually, interestingly enough, or just dropped another video where he was talking about Billy Corgan from the Smashing Pumpkins talking about shapeshifters. So this is an old video he had from TikTok, but then his newest YouTube video is about Billy Corgan actually talked about shapeshifters. So to me, it's like, I don't know. I do think that there's way too much smoke to not be some fire. I think there's some legitimacy to this kind of stuff. And I think that, yeah, now going back 2 podcasts now talking about, could the devil be a man? If the devil could be a man, obviously he is not the only fallen angel. And we don't know what kind of physical manifestation a demon could actually possess. But for all intents and purposes, that if a spiritual entity is moonlighting as a man, it's the same thing for me. So I don't know what you guys think. You guys let us know what you guys think in the comments. Obviously, if you guys want to delve deeper into this topic, please let us know. And once again, this podcast definitely got into some, let's just say, some darker, more, dangerous parts for YouTube. So this will there'll be a Patreon cut that will actually not be the same as the YouTube cut. So please check out the Patreon channel. Link will be in the description. If you guys want a Jesus Said There Would Be Haters shirt, got all the colors. We got the different kind of fonts. Girly, manly. You guys can decide which is which. But yeah, check out jtfilesjc.com. You guys can check the shop out. Link in the description. And once again, please check out the sponsor of this podcast, Modern Roots. Really appreciate you guys hanging out with us. Once again, we love you guys. God bless you.
Later.
Everyone left me. Everyone deserted me. Jesus was always there. When everyone hated me and walked away, Jesus never walked away.